Welcome to the Better Than Yesterday Everyday Podcast, where we cover anything related to behavior change that will increase your long-term wellness and happiness. And now, here are your hosts, personal trainer and RNs, Matt and Jenna Lane.
What's happening, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the Better Than Yesterday Everyday Podcast. My name is Matt.
And I'm Jenna.
If you are new to the show, thank you for being here. If you're a regular, welcome back. We're fired up that you're actually still here with us. This show is all about implementing behavior change for your long-term wellness and happiness. Jenna and I both are registered nurses, and I'm a personal trainer. We wig out to this fitness, wellness, health crap. We love it. We have made it our life. We have turned it into a business, and this brings us so much joy to bring it to you. And for everybody that saw the last episode, that was our first live podcast. That was so fun. It was uncomfortable territory for us. We loved having people on the show, like calling them in. It was so cool. We are going to do more of that. We're contemplating, are we going to do it monthly? We're going to do it annually, not annually, but quarterly. And we'd like to know, what do you think? What do you think we should do? We're still undecided. I'm also trying to figure out the best way to go about collecting comments and questions, because I think that those episodes would be best to be Q&As, or at least some sort of, if it's not a Q&A episode, maybe a general topic, you know? Mm-hmm. You agree with that?
Yeah.
So I'd like to know what you guys think. Check us out on the thebtyepodcast YouTube channel. We're also on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, all of the major places that you can listen to this podcast. So there will be a link down below if you are listening to where you can watch it. And yeah, so let's get going on today's topic. Jenna, how you feeling over there?
All right.
All right is very accurate to how we're both feeling. Today we know that we've hinted around at this for a little while now through a few episodes, and we were like, you know what? I think it's time to just open up and really talk about it, dedicate an episode to it. And we want to talk about seasons. I can flash back right now at IG posts that I've made as far as fitness being peaks and valleys, and it's not a linear place, or it's not a destination of fitness and wellness, and we are so going through that right now. And first and foremost, I want to tell you that this podcast is not out of a woe or like a crying sad time. This is bringing transparency, because we were talking about it and we were like, what are we going to talk about on the podcast this week? We usually are bursting with ideas. This week, for some reason, we were not. So we were like, you know what? Let's document what we're actually going through. And that's what we're going to do today. Seasons. We've just been in a place that has not been fantastic as of late, and it's been a few months.
Yeah.
A few months. And I can honestly say this is probably one of the longest seasons that we've had. And you agree with that? Mm-hmm. I truly believe, I've noticed for 3 years now, including this year, that seasonal affective disorder, or SAD, in the winter months, the sun is not out as much, it's gloomy, it affects your mood. And there is science to back that crap up. Mm-hmm. Again, this is not me crying. I'm actually very excited to document this episode, because I think that this is unbelievably important. I think a lot of people would look at this as a loss, or, we're not perfect, or, we're not always fitness driven, but it's the truth that we go through peaks and valleys as well.
Yeah. And I'm a firm believer that you can enjoy those peaks as much as you can once you've been through the valleys. You learn to really appreciate your good times.
There you go. 100%. So I know that at times we may project like we have it all together. I know some people think that.
That is not the case.
No, some people have told me that. You can just get a feeling for what some people think. And you're right. It's not the case. And I think whenever you're down, it's easier for things to continue to snowball. We talk about that positivity snowball.
Yeah, I have it written on my paper.
There is also a negativity
snowball.
Exactly.
And you stole my point.
Well, and before we dive
Did you cheat?
No, I swear. Before we dive all the way into it, let's hit them with our
gratitude point.
I was running off at the mouth there and just about ran past this, but
I was going to remind you.
were you really? I'm really appreciative that you're here. So, since I've run my mouth already, you go first.
Really?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I can go first if you want.
No, I just, my gratitude point is really just from earlier today. I've always struggled with headaches and migraines. And speaking of this weather, it's gloomy out. And usually when that pressure change happens, my head doesn't like that well. And I end up with a headache or even a migraine. And today was one of those days. And Matt has always been super patient and helpful. And I feel like I'm super whiny and needy. And I'm just always appreciative of just the little things that you do to help get me over that hump.
Well, right on. Well, I'm glad I can help. If you're new to this show, what the heck is a gratitude point? That is where Jenna and I, off the top of our head, most of the time, give a gratitude point about our life to shift our perspective. And for you, you can do the same exact thing. I encourage you right now to press pause and think about something in your life that you're grateful for that is going to shift your perspective if you're down in the dumps. And how pertinent is it right now for this episode that we look at this gratitude point? And mine is ears, my ears. I'm so glad, not for the shape and fashion of them, but that they work. I'm glad that my ears work because I learn through hearing, seeing, doing, feeling. And
with your ears?
Yeah, I feel with my ears. Like
I'll
see it and I'll rub my ears against it. No, you get what I'm saying. Like I learn with my ears, and I believe that I'm pretty good at observing. I'm pretty good at listening. It's a strength of mine. And I would not be able to progress. I'm all about self-improvement, and without my ears, I could not do that. And without your ears, you could not hear this. Knowledge bomb. I'm just kidding. It wasn't a knowledge bomb, but it makes sense to me. So, again, I encourage you, pause it. Think of a gratitude point for you right now. If you're driving, concentrate on the road, but think of something. So I'll let you take back over.
All right. Well, this episode was really inspired by just some conversations that we've had lately. And that's really how we pull our content. It's just really what our subject of conversation has been, because it's what's fresh in our mind and what's happening in real time in our lives. And I don't think that our regular lives are too terribly different from everyone else's. So
Agreed.
I think that there's, fresh perspective that we can bring quite often, hopefully, to you guys, the watchers and the listeners. And something that we've really been trying to correct in our own lives as individuals and as a couple is just, we've just been in this kind of gray funk for a while. And something that I said the other night actually made me stop and realize what my perspective was. And it was my complaint of, I feel like we keep living on the pause button. And when I said it out loud, it made me realize that we're not any different from anyone else. We got to stop waiting for the next milestone. There's a lot of life to live in between the milestones. You got to make the most of that. And some of you guys already have that figured out. I feel like at 35, I should realize that. But sometimes you lose that sight of there's a lot of life to live in between these milestones that you're waiting for. And that's not unique to us.
Yeah.
There's milestones that everyone meets and achieves and moves on to throughout their whole life.
Yeah.
So I think that's something that I've realized recently, that I feel like I've been just sitting on the pause button and waiting for that time to pass to enjoy the next milestone when there's a lot of life to live in between there.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it was a point that you made when we were talking about this briefly last night. Again, we do not script these shows. We do a little bit of prefacing beforehand to make sure, we're at least on the same wavelength. But you said it's super important to realize, why are you in this slump or down area season? Why are you in the season that you're in? It's very easy, I think, when you're quote unquote winning, or you're at the gym, or you're eating well, or things are going well, it's very easy to realize that's why, because I'm doing the things I should be doing. I'm progressing in whatever you're trying to progress in. I think it's so important and more difficult to figure out, why are you in this down season? Why are you in this downtrend? But it's extremely individualistic to everyone. And I kind of want to give some context rather than being so vague. For me, I know that my activity has been so much lower lately. Started powerlifting at the end of last year with Josh Kirsch. He's actually my trainer. I have a trainer for the trainer. And I recently got injured, not to a fault of his. It was not an acute injury. I felt like it was sort of slowly coming on, but it's an actual injury now. And that has caused me to slow down just out of recovery's sake. Mm-hmm. And that has snowballed. My sleep, because of this injury, has gotten worse. Because of the lack of activity, my appetite has decreased. I've been inside more. It's just snowballed. Then you pile on the weather. And this is not a life-altering injury that I have. I'm going to be fine. And I think that's the big piece, to know that, like, I'm going to be fine. These are the reasons that I'm down. But this is just a season. Mm-hmm. I'm going to get out of this. And again, I'm happy to be here. I am just as happy to be here, as happy as I am when I'm on my game and, when I'm, a body in motion stays in motion. Whenever you're there, I'm happy to be there. I'm just as happy to be here. So I think realizing why you are where you are, and I think that takes time. Yeah. That takes getting to know yourself and a lot of self-awareness.
Yeah. So do you have some like signs that you feel like are common to you kind of slipping?
To me?
Mental health wise? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a very driven person because I have things that I want to do. If y'all can hear the dog snoring in the background, this is just fantastic. I have a lot of things that I want to do, and they're not difficult things, but they just take time. And I love doing these things. And I know that when it's just difficult for me to shoot a video or to record a podcast or to journal or to make sure that I get enough water in, or, if I wasn't injured, and because I've had other seasons where I wasn't injured, where I just wasn't getting as much activity, when I wasn't going and doing the things that I love, that was a big, big sign that there was something negative in my life. And it may be environmental. Maybe it's the people around you. Maybe it's something more grand than just, you have an injury or, your activity is lower. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I think that the things that you love, if you are avoiding them, if you truly love them, there's something going on. Yeah. There's something going on.
Yeah. And I think when I notice my mental health slipping is when I'm reaching for my comfort items.
True.
So, my comfort items are I think very common, which is sleeping in or being in bed more,
right.
Eating sweets or eating more comfort foods,
right.
Being on my phone more, just like that mindless numbing of sitting in front of the TV, or just keeping your mind just occupied enough to not be thinking about what you should be doing or what actually matters. You're just numbing. And that's really been out of hand with me recently.
Sure.
I've wasted a lot of time, and that negativity snowball starts going faster and faster. Yep. So, and the things that I generally really love, I tend to just have a total disdain for. And one of those things has been just physical activity. And when that starts, then, and then I'm reaching for comfort foods. And then the next thing you know, I'm gaining weight. And then I, look down on myself and I don't like how I look or how I feel. And so to numb that, I sleep more, and then I eat an extra snack, and then it just snowballs.
It perpetuates. It's a negativity snowball.
It's a really tough snowball to stop. I think the negativity snowball is a lot more powerful or difficult to manage than the positivity snowball in certain instances.
Sure.
But, you were just saying, sometimes it's something environment it's something that's going on around you. It's something external. But I think sometimes it's internal. Sometimes it's you.
Yeah.
When you don't like the things that you used to like anymore, when someone all of a sudden is just somebody like that's their presence is repulsive or whatever.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's you
Uh-huh.
and not that external force. And I think dissecting what really is driving the difference is going to help you understand how you change. Because I think in each season, the catalyst for change has got to be different. So learning your signs and learning your triggers and learning yourself more, that's an ever evolving process. I don't think that there is an appropriate age or time limit of, okay, at, by age 30, you should know all your triggers and be able to manage them perfectly.
Right.
That's an ever evolving process because every season is different.
Right. And pretty much to what you just said, as you get older, like you may adapt and you might like a different form of fitness or whatever, like you change so much. And I want to clarify that fitness wellness to us is not just going and lifting weights. Whatever your wellness is, that's specific to you, and mental health as well. So it's interesting. You said, what are the signs? And you actually had some more ideas that sparked. You say you eat more whenever you get to this. I eat less. I always eat less. I lose weight. I can't maintain weight. And I've never, you know me, I've never slept well. And this injury definitely has perpetuated that. But I'll go get in bed and be exhausted and can't sleep. And then when I wake up, I'm exhausted. Like I've noticed that I've actually slept in more lately, and I don't do that.
Yeah.
Like I naturally pop up.
Yep.
I might still be tired, but I naturally pop up, and it has been hell to drag myself out of bed. And I coincidentally, I had a client that was going through this exact same thing. They're going through the same thing, and I had the conversation and told her, "Look, I'm going through the same thing, truly am." And for her, it gave perspective. And I told her that, I think what really matters is, can you latch on to a good thing that is endorphin inducing, that's good for you? It's not good for me or anybody else. Can you latch on to that one good thing and just try to do that one thing every single day? Just do that. Maybe it's swimming, maybe it's lifting weights, maybe it's going for a 10-minute walk, whatever. But if you just continue to do that one thing daily, that gets you back on that positivity snowball. We said this before. And I woke up this morning and I did 100 push-ups and 100 squats. It didn't take me very long. I felt incredible afterwards. I could feel the endorphins flowing, and it's just so true. I think that that's how you begin to get out of it. Even that is still difficult. Like if you can't hit it every single day, don't beat yourself up. You just have to start somewhere. And sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. And I think in these growing seasons, at least from my perspective, from a very analytical mind, I'm very hard on myself. I've learned that I've got to step outside the situation, think about it from someone else's perspective and dissect it of, there's something that seems very difficult in front of me. How can I break that down into steps? How can I break that down into relating to something else that I've already accomplished and made it through? And then work through it that way and talk to myself like I would to you or to a friend, rather than talk to myself like I would to myself.
Yeah, exactly. I think that this podcast could be misconstrued for laziness. I think that this could be, I really do think this could be misconstrued. So, and let me tell you this. If you know that you're just being lazy, like if you know the difference, and that's where that self-awareness piece comes back. If you know you're just being lazy, then I don't think this applies.
Yeah.
But there's a big difference, if you're like clinically depressed or you have some depression, or if this is seasonal affective disorder, that's a big difference. And you said something last night as well. You said what makes it even worse or perpetuates it is when you do have the knowledge to know what to do and you don't do it. Then you're like, God, I even know what to do. Like it's not difficult to know what to do.
Yeah.
I'm just not doing it.
Yeah, this season has been different because I did go through a really long season of being very active.
You were winning.
And
yeah.
Yeah, it was great. And then I just fell off. I mean, literally, it was from one day to the next of I just don't want to do it. And it's been harder. I've been harder on myself because I know exactly what to do. And I've been successful at doing it before.
You've been very successful.
Where before, when I was in a difficult season, I hadn't done any of that before. So it wasn't like I knew what to do and I knew that I could do it. And then I've pushed myself to do it, where now I feel like I'm maybe a little bit harder on myself because I know what I should be doing and I've done it before and it's not that hard. And I felt so much better.
Yeah.
But I'm just not doing it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know that this is corny and maybe I should have said this at the end, but it's in my head and I have to say it, that if you're down, if you're out, if you feel like you're down for the count, when you quit, that's when you truly fail.
Mm-hmm.
Keep going. Keep pulling yourself through whatever this mud is, because I promise you, this is a season. You will get out of this. Do not quit. That is what most of the world, most of this country does, is they quit on fitness. They quit on wellness. So if that means that you have to surround yourself with positive people, if you have to force yourself to get out of the house and get your toes in the sand, if that means that you have to do some things to be uncomfortable, then that's what you have to do, you know?
And we were talking last night too about, we've really sat down and tried to dissect what it is that's driving both of us being in a bad place at the same time.
And I do want to say there are a few things that we can't mention right now.
Right. And we've at least kind of established some of the baseline.
Yeah.
And, we kind of dissected even more last night that to get out of this, you have to create some more difficulty sometimes.
Yeah.
And be willing to be patient to get through that extra difficult time to get to the outside, to get out of this season.
And and I know I'm sort of reiterating the point here, but I think that this is an often undocumented or uncharted territory. And, I think that, like I said before, I think I said this before, what I think that we do is we do two different types of things with the content we put out. It's documentation, which that's what this is, what we're going through, what we're learning. And then there's, I think, like what we have already gone through and learned, like what we've already learned. So education, documentation. And this is just as valuable as the good times. It really, really is.
If not more.
This
honestly.
is where growth happens.
Yeah.
If you out there listening or watching, if you are uncomfortable, this is growth. Even if you don't see progress, even if you're gaining weight, even if you're losing strength, you are growing right now because you're not quitting, because you're going through this, you're growing through this. Go ahead. I'm fired up. Go ahead. I love this shit.
Well, and it's taken us probably a lot longer than it should have to really establish what's going on with each one of us and as a couple. And I think a great asset that we have is just having surrounded ourselves with some really good people that are able to analyze and speak freely with us. And that's really helped us from an outsider's perspective of realizing that neither one of us are in a good place. And then working together as a couple to help each other get back in a better place. And I think being brutally honest with each other has really been beneficial.
Yeah.
That's something that I've always struggled with. And I know I've mentioned this before, that sometimes honesty isn't easy.
Is not easy.
Right.
Yeah.
And not that I'm trying to withhold information, but like sometimes being honest with someone about what's going on that you see with them, that's really hard to point out because you don't know how it's going to be received.
Correct. And
you don't know if you're saying it the best way. But honesty will always be the right thing.
Yeah. If you guys aren't watching this, I just smiled because you're so right. You hit the nail on the head with that.
Yeah.
And that we are so fortunate that we do have really close friends and family, but really close friends that we talk to very regularly that have been so supportive. And I think that's when you find that's a damn good measurement of an incredible friend, is if you're going through the down or the bad season and they're totally supportive. You know, point blank, like we do movie Wednesdays with our friends, and like we sort of knocked it the past 2 weeks. We've just been like, guys, like we're just not up to it. Our friends knows what's going on, and they support us. They're like, we love you. We know that our role right now is to get the hell out of your face. Like, and it's nothing against them. They've done nothing, but they know. And I just think that if you can surround yourself with people like that, that is so incredibly important. And like, God, we're fortunate.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah. I think the tough seasons really give you perspective. And like I said earlier, you can't enjoy the great seasons and as much as as much if you haven't really gone through the valleys, the tough seasons.
Yeah.
They give you a lot of perspective.
Absolutely. And, I know that for me, journaling is therapy. Documenting where you were at is therapy. And for you, if you don't journal or if you don't vlog or if you don't document, I encourage you highly to do so. It's incredible to see your thoughts out on paper rather than just in your head. And I've mentioned it before that I have ADD and my head is all over the place, and I'm proud that I have ADD, but learning to cope with that and learning for you, and maybe journaling's awful for you, but maybe for you, finding whatever your coping therapy is or coping mechanism is, such as art therapy, you have to do that. I definitely think that there is still in this down season, you have to try. You have to try to pull yourself through this.
Yep. Yeah, and you have to do it just one step at a time. There's no just snapping back.
No.
So I think you need to learn to be patient with yourself. That's been something that I've struggled with, is just, the days that I have felt good and gone back and worked out, and I'm like, oh my gosh, look how far I've slipped. Like I want to look at that negatively, but really it's a positive. I went and I was active, and that's great. You're
better than yesterday every day. Sorry, I had to plug it. It was right there. It was right there in front of my face. And this has been so evident in my head, like this gratitude piece. Like I know we include it in the show, and if you guys think it's just a cute little thing that we do, it's so damn true that on a daily basis, I know that you do, and I know that I do, we do pick points, and numerous points at times, that does shift our perspective, but it's not, I don't think we even do it intentionally anymore. I think I think we're very good at just realizing that, good God, we're fortunate. Mm-hmm. And it does shift things. We work in hospice, and hospice is, there's a lot of what people would consider negativity in that. So we're woken up every single time whenever we cry about whatever our problems are. So again, I think that gratitude piece is just so huge.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that.
Yeah.
Gives you perspective.
Yep. Without a doubt. I think that was great. Good job. Seriously. Good job. We got on these mics and we both were like, we know we're going to document it. We're not sure how it's going to go. We'll see. And I think it went fantastic. If anybody out there is struggling with the same thing, whether it be at the time that we release this or later on years down the road, please comment. Please comment on the BTYE podcast YouTube channel, wherever you're watching this video. We want to know. The whole reason that we do this is to affect change for you, the listener, you, the viewer. And if, again, you are here, you are the reason we are doing this. So thank you. Anything on a wrap up, Jenna? Hit us.
I don't think so. I think I'm terrible at journaling, but coming in this studio and knowing that this space is the space that we talk things out and talk things through, I think this is a really, like, our own form of therapy.
100%.
Like just getting things off of our chest and even kind of working through it myself. So y'all watching and listening are just a fantastic byproduct of our sitting here talking with each other.
Yeah, without a doubt. Like one day we'll be able to look back at this and be like, look at that. We grew from that. Look where we were at. It wasn't the end of the world.
That's right.
So guys, thank you for tuning in. As always, we truly appreciate you. If you're feeling squirrely, subscribe to this podcast, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Thank you so much. We love you, and we'll talk to you next week.
This has been the Better Than Yesterday Everyday Podcast. We want to thank you for listening and invite you to subscribe to the show as well. And follow Matt Lane Fitness on YouTube. Until next time, you don't have to be perfect. Just be better than yesterday, every day.
We are good, aren't we? We're pretty good.
I mean, I'm good.
I think we're both pretty damn good. Conceited.